Welcome to this online CPD from Insulation Manufacturers Association, looking at the 7 steps to fire safety. We hope the presentation is both informative and enjoyable. At the end of the presentation, you will be able to request a CPD certificate after answering a few questions. The presentation consists of 8 sections as follows. 1. Aims and objectives. 2. IMA background. 3. The context of fire within the built environment. 4. Priorities for fire safety. 5. Material science relating to fire. 6. Regulations and standards. 7. The 7 steps to fire safety. 8. The Building Safety Bill. This CPD has been certified by both CPD UK and CIAT, the Chartered Institute of Architectural Technologists. Let us first outline the aims and objectives of this CPD. This CPD will help you to find out about the context of fire in relation to the built environment and the priorities for fire safety. Reach an understanding of material science, product testing, product classifications, and how this relates to regulations and standards. Learn about the 7 steps to fire safety and how each step is critical to create a fire-safe building. To put this CPD into perspective, we will now provide you with some background information about IMA. Insulation Manufacturers Association, also known as IMA, is the representative body for the rigid polyisocyanurate, commonly known as PIR, and polyurethane, commonly known as PUR, insulation industry in the United Kingdom. Membership comprises all of the major companies in the industry, including manufacturers of finished PIR and PUR insulation products, suppliers of the various raw materials, and associated services. IMA works closely with many government and non-governmental organisations involved in the legislative areas affecting the production and use of PIR and PUR insulation products. Although statistically incidents of fires continue to reduce across the UK, it is unlikely that fire will ever be fully eradicated from the built environment. It is therefore sensible to follow a number of steps to reduce the possibility of fires occurring, and if one does break out, to minimise the chance of it spreading and reduce the chance of personal injury or building damage. Through intelligent and holistic design, a response to fire can be successfully managed to reduce its impact. Fire-safe buildings are a fundamental expectation of the modern built environment. However, there are also other important considerations and performance standards that buildings must achieve to meet all the expectations that the current building regulations demand. With modern and high-performance building products widely available, there is no need to compromise fire safety in order to deliver the other important characteristics necessary for the built environment in the 21st century. Fire safety in buildings remains a major societal issue. According to statistics in England for the year ending December 2020, it is estimated that there were 221 fire-related fatalities. Therefore, finding and implementing effective solutions is imperative. It is believed that most fires in residential buildings are preventable. Fire safety in buildings requires an holistic approach from preventing the start of any fire to containing and extinguishing it. In this presentation, we present the 7 steps to fire safety that must be considered to protect people and buildings, and how each of these is an integral part of the building design. Overall, there is a need for more consistent fire statistics in order to better understand risk factors and effective fire safety measures. There are many misconceptions when it comes to fire statistics. Reported information varies across England, Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland, but overall there is a downward trend in the number of dwelling fires and fatalities. Long-term trends in the number of fires across the United Kingdom are quite similar. The trend in fire rates has levelled across the United Kingdom, with most incidents of fire occurring outside the built environment, while dwelling fire rates have continued to decline in each nation of the UK. The majority of dwelling fires start inside buildings, igniting the building contents, and are extinguished before ever involving the building fabric. In order to promote an holistic approach to fire safety, it is important to consider some key points, such as building design, adopting a systems-based approach to testing construction products, and taking account of fire risk in the context of the building in use. A building is made up of many different products, both combustible and non-combustible, which when combined as a system can deliver high fire safety performance. Therefore, analysing only the individual performance of each component does not give an accurate picture of its overall performance when combined with other products to make a system. There are some important considerations to be made when specifying and installing products, such as ensuring that products and systems are used in accordance with relevant regulations, standards, and manufacturers' guidelines. The products specified are actually used and are not substituted for apparently similar products, which can lead to significant unintended consequences. That products are installed by a competent workforce, and that installations are checked on site to ensure that the work has been carried out correctly. Fire risk is as much about lifestyle and use of a building as it is about the construction of the building. Statistically, most fires in buildings start with cooking appliances or electrical equipment. However, no design can fully accommodate the way that people use buildings now or in the future. To mitigate this, assessing fire risks and evaluating appropriate fire prevention measures is important. This will include the design of the building as well as a better understanding of behavioural risk. These may require fire safety strategies and measures including product and electrical safety, as well as education around occupant behaviour, smoking and cooking. A much greater understanding of material science and the behaviour and use of construction products is essential for buildings to meet all of the necessary criteria that is demanded of them. Many essential construction products are combustible and continue to be used safely and successfully in the construction industry as they have been for many years. This includes many organic and natural products which have an important role to play despite being combustible. The term combustible is often confused with the word flammable, but there is an important distinction between these two terms, which mistakenly have become interchangeable, as products can be combustible but not flammable. When used correctly, combustible materials can continue to be used safely, as they have a crucial role to play in helping buildings meet a range of performance criteria. Insulation products meet a wide range of fire performance requirements as stipulated by building regulations and standards, as well as the insurance industry and warranty providers. In most construction applications, insulation products are not exposed. For example, cavity wall insulation is installed between the outer substrate and the internal blocks. In other applications where high fire performance is needed, suitable products tested to stringent fire tests can be specified. Fire performance is a complex science, and systems containing Class A1 and Class A2 materials, as determined by EN 13501-1, cannot be automatically assumed to adequately prevent fire spread. Reliance on simplistic classification of individual products is therefore not sufficient, as these classifications give no indication about how one material will perform with another as part of a complex system. It is important to use whole system testing to ensure built-up system performance. The main cause of fire-related deaths is being overcome by gas or smoke. It is important to note that all smoke is toxic, and the best fire safety strategy is to avoid exposure to smoke from any product, whether combustible or not. According to a report by the Home Office in October 2020, although almost half of all accidental fires in dwellings in England arose from cooking equipment, The generation of smoke came from the subsequent ignition of textiles, upholstery and furnishings, which even with a small fire can generate a lot of smoke. In the event of a fire at night time, smoke is unlikely to wake occupants without the intervention of smoke detection equipment. The use of fire alarms and sprinklers can alert occupants and suppress or contain the fire well before any construction product is involved. Smoke management aims to keep escape routes free of smoke, whilst compartmentation is about preventing propagation of fire and smoke. Firefighters wear personal protection equipment like respiratory masks to avoid exposure to smoke. Their intervention strategy also aims to avoid smoke propagation. Understanding regulations and standards relating to fire safety is essential to enable construction professionals to be more confident about the use of a wide range of materials within a building. A full understanding will ensure the most appropriate materials, whether combustible or non-combustible, are used to meet the whole range of performance criteria for a building, as well as meeting stringent safety standards. Insulation manufacturers produce high-quality products that undergo stringent tests during the manufacturing process in accordance with British and European standards. Tests may vary between different insulation types and applications, but include characteristics such as reaction to fire, thermal resistance and thermal conductivity, compressive creep, and water and sound absorption. Products are then CE or UKCA marked, and each product is provided with either a declaration of performance or declaration of conformity as appropriate. As well as tests carried out at the production site, products also undergo third-party certification, which gives users and specifiers the confidence that with the correct application and installation, these products will perform to the appropriate and agreed levels. When products are used in conjunction with others to provide complex systems, it is important to carry out large-scale tests, as the entire system may perform differently than individual product tests indicate. In the post-Grenfell environment, much work has been carried out to tighten procedures and ensure all technical, marketing and testing information is accurate, responsible and truthful, further enhancing the opportunity to use products that will satisfy all the end-use requirements and improve the overall performance of our buildings. The introduction of the Code for Construction Products Information, CCPI, will further enhance the accuracy of product information. The rules for where different types of insulation can and cannot be used are complex. Not only do they vary in the different parts of the United Kingdom, but there are different rules for building types. It is important to check the relevant regulations for the project on which you are working. These are, in England and Wales, it is Approved Document B, but there are separate documents with differing parameters. In Scotland, it is Section 2 of the Technical Handbook, and in Northern Ireland, it is Technical Booklet E. The next slide demonstrates how, with the right approach and available knowledge, buildings can be built which meet the relevant building regulations and standards. To achieve the best outcomes, it is sensible to follow 7 steps to fire safety. These 7 steps provide an holistic approach to understanding fire risk and provide guidance on the key areas for consideration. Obviously, in an ideal world, a fire should always be prevented. However, understanding the causes and risk factors is the starting point for developing effective fire prevention strategies. So what can be done? We need to have a better understanding of the main causes and risk factors for fires in buildings, as well as addressing key areas of concern with specific products. For example, electrical safety requires high product standards, effective market surveillance, and regular inspections. We also need to support awareness and education initiatives, which are very important and effective. When a fire occurs despite prevention measures, it is important to detect it as early as possible, to give building occupants sufficient time to react, including safe evacuation and early fire extinction. The installation of smoke alarms inside each bedroom, outside each sleeping area, and on every level of an entire residential building is recommended. In larger buildings, alarms should ideally be interconnected to alert all building occupants. A greater awareness amongst building occupants is needed to ensure that smoke alarms are properly positioned, are in sufficient number, and function correctly. In some UK regions, specific awareness campaigns are organised by local authorities and the Fire and Rescue Service. In some areas, smoke detectors are being installed for the most vulnerable occupants. When a fire occurs, assuming it is not too aggressive, it can be put out within the first few minutes by a manual extinguisher, automatic sprinklers, or a misting system. Sprinklers and misting systems are activated automatically by heat and only in the area where the fire occurs. Evidence shows that while suppression systems are primarily intended to contain or control fires, they can also be instrumental in saving the lives of people in the room of the fire's origin. In the UK, the rules for automatic fire suppression systems vary according to building type, height, and by national regulations. If a fire starts and cannot be extinguished immediately or contained, safe evacuation of a building's occupants is the first priority. Having easily accessible escape routes which are clearly signed, well lit, and smoke-free is essential. Therefore, escape routes should be included in building design as part of an holistic approach to fire safety. The target time for evacuating a building in case of fire varies depending on the size and type of building. However, in all cases, blocked or cluttered escape routes can be a major issue. It is therefore imperative that individuals know their evacuation plan and practice evacuation exercises, something which can be supported through education campaigns with specific strategies developed for more vulnerable groups such as elderly or disabled people. Fire compartmentation will ensure a fire and its smoke are contained in the compartment of origin and do not spread to other rooms. It also aims to protect safe escape routes such as corridors and stairs. Physical barriers will achieve compartmentation, and these include fire-resistant walls, floors and ceilings, fire doors, and the fireproof sealing of joints and penetrations. Concealed spaces in the building structure and fabric should also be fire-stopped or provided with cavity barriers where appropriate. Where compartmentation exists, it is important that the integrity is not damaged or altered by any subsequent building work or occupancy behaviour. The best way to ensure that a facade system will not jeopardise the compartmentation strategy is through large-scale system testing. In the case of a large fire, the structural safety of the building needs to be ensured so that it remains intact and does not collapse on firefighters or occupants. Structural fire testing relies on the use of the standard fire resistance furnace test on structural elements and assemblies. Fire-safe structures are not simply a matter of material combustibility. Relevant test data supports current practice for the design of fire-safe structures, from concrete and steel to wood, composites, and other elements in conjunction with combustible products. When a fire occurs, the fire services should be called as soon as possible, and before trying to evacuate the occupants, fight the fire or prevent any further spread. On average, the response time for fire and rescue service in England is around 9 minutes. It is especially important for multi-occupancy buildings that proper documentation is kept and provided to the fire and rescue services. This information will ensure that they have up-to-date knowledge of detection and suppression systems, escape routes, and other important information which will assist in evacuation and in extinguishing the fire. In summary, although it is impossible to completely eradicate fire, by following all of these 7 steps, the risk of fire will be significantly reduced. The 7 steps are not a pick and mix. Each one is as strong as the weakest link. To reiterate, these are prevention, detection, early suppression, evacuation, compartmentation, structural safety, and firefighting. These 7 steps to fire safety complement the Building Safety Act, which received royal assent in May 2022. According to the UK government, this Act aims to overhaul building regulations and set out a clear pathway on how residential buildings should be constructed, maintained, and made safe. It also intends to set out the framework to improve compliance, with tougher penalties for those who break the rules. There will also be new mandates for developers to ensure they belong to a new Homes Ombudsman scheme. A national fire safety regulator will oversee and enforce the rules, whilst a national construction product regulator will operate within the Office for Product Safety and Standards. Building owners will be required to manage safety risks, with clear lines of responsibility for safety during design, construction, completion, and occupation of high-rise buildings. There will also be a requirement for a golden thread of information, with safety considered at every stage of a building's lifetime, including during the earliest stages of the planning process. Building owners will need to demonstrate that they have effective, proportionate measures in place to manage safety risks. We hope that you have found this presentation educational and informative. During this presentation, you will have learnt about IMA as well as key issues relating to fire safety within the built environment, including the importance of an holistic approach to fire safety in buildings, statistics and data on fire incidents across the UK, the priorities necessary to ensure our buildings can meet all expectations, including fire performance, information about the use of different building materials essential to construction, regulations, standards and legislation in the UK, the essential steps to minimise fires in buildings and provide safety for the building's occupants. If you require any further information, please do not hesitate to get in touch. You can find out more on the topic of fire safety in buildings from the following: Modern Building Alliance, International Fire Safety Standards. For links to statistics and other data referred to in our CPD, please visit our website. We also have a CPD entitled Achieving Zero Carbon Through a Fabric First Approach, which is available on the IMA website and YouTube channel. Thank you for watching this CPD. We trust you found it useful. If you have any queries regarding any of the content, please do not hesitate to visit our website www.insulationmanufacturers.org.uk.